HD SLR shooter. Sponsored by Akidio, Adamus, Band Pro, Blackmagic Design, Carl Zeiss, and Xylite.
Hi, Clint with HDSLR Shooter here at Band Pro in Burbank, California. I'm here with Mitch Gross of Panasonic, and this weekend we were able to see at Cine Gear the EVA1, and we just want to, for folks that might have missed the live stream, talk a little bit about the EVA1.
Yeah, well, this is our new babe. This guy has, or gal if you wish, is a Super 35 sensor camera, and that sensor is not 4K. It's actually a 5.7K sensor. What that means is three things. One, you're going to get a much better 4K output because that will take all that extra resolution in the down convert, and you'll get a really rich, very high resolving 4K image. In addition to that, you'll also have better color fidelity because you have more examples of red and green and blue, and so the accuracy of the color will be very, very good. And then thirdly, is that while this camera will ship in the fall and it will be a very complete machine at that point, there will be a firmware update that will come some months later, and in that firmware update we will include on the SDI output the ability to have a 5.7K raw output to third-party recorders. Atomos has already said they're going to support that. So having that extra resolution capability on here really enhances what the use of this camera is. Internal recording is 4K up to 60 frames per second and 2K up to 240 frames per second. And that recording is just going to be on XDSC cards. So we're able to keep the price down and the size of the unit down and stuff. It makes it a very functional machine. You're going to have, in that recording, you're going to have the ability to go 422 in 10-bit. So none of this 8-bit stuff. You're going to have a very rich recording, not 420, 422. And that recording will be in a codec that can go up to 400 megabits per second. So we'll have several different options available, just like we have in our GH5 and our below it, and then above it we have the Vericam LT. So they have a range of different codecs and recording formats and such available. The EVA1 will have that as well. If you're in Vlog and VGamut with 422 10-bit and a 400 megabit per second signal, you're really having a lot of material to work with. It'll be a very rich format. Now, other things that this will inherit from our high-end Vericam cameras include dual native ISO. Dual native ISO is something that only exists from Panasonic and up till now has only existed in the Vericam cameras. What we do is we fundamentally read the sensor in a different way. So the traditional way that everyone gets information off the sensor, that yields an 800 ISO. That's pretty much where like everybody else is as well. But then we have a second mode, which is built into the technology of the sensor. We have a different system for pulling data off of the photo sites that yields a much higher efficiency. And so we get up to 5,000 ISO as the native ISO. There's no gain applied. You always can apply gains and whatever, but you get noise when you do that. You can choose to do that, but as a dual native, it's like switching your film stock in the camera. 800 or 5,000 on the Vericams. We don't know exactly where the numbers are going to land here yet because we're still doing tweaking. We've hit some targets, but we think we're going to squeeze a little bit more out of it. So we don't want to give those numbers quite yet on EVA1, but we believe it'll be very, very good. You get higher ISO. At the same time, you don't pay any penalty with increase in noise or change in your dynamic range or change in the color shifts or anything like that. It's no penalty, additional ISO. That can be really great for documentary work or just low light shooting, or even if you're shooting in nice light levels, but you want to work at a deeper stop and maybe use a zoom where you would otherwise have to use a prime. So we just want to give people different control and functionality. Another thing from the Vericam LT, that camera, you could pull off the lens and reach in and remove the IR cut filter. And then you get these interesting nighttime photography effect, night vision, or even during daylight you get these interesting weird colors and stuff for artistic use. On the EVA1, what you'll actually do is have a menu item, and it'll be on a little motor. It'll just swing that out of the way. So you'll be able to have the IR cut will just swing out of the way. And then if you want, you could get a filter that you could just put in front of your lens that is a visible light filter that usually are like 680 nanometers. Basically what that's doing is stopping all the visible light except for the IR. It only lets IR pass, and then you take your IR cut filter out of the way, and basically you're just flooding your sensor with IR. And the effect that you get, the image, it's just really a cool look. It's an interesting kind of visual effect. So that's just something that we kind of threw in there, but nobody else has it. Built in also standard are 2, 4, and 6 stop NDs that you just push a button and dial through those. So, it's got kind of the standard ease of use sort of functionality. The HDMI and the SDI outputs both have 4K capability.
And so clean out, right?
Those you can have those as clean out. As you can switch, as you can have, the menu information up on the screen, so heads-up display, or you can have it as a clean output. And likewise, with the firmware update, you'll be able to have the SDI become a raw data output as well. So you could choose between that. And you can see there's another port that'll be right over here. That is for timecode in and out. So a lot of cameras that are in this scale of physical camera or price point and such, they don't have timecode in and out. This has the ability to be master or slave for timecode, so that you can use it with an audio recorder or multi-camera and work in that function.
That's really handy for the editor, and all they really have to do, the audio guy just plugs that in and it picks up the timecode, I think.
Exactly right. You can, whether it's coming from the audio or you want to feed it to the audio, we can work either way, or to multiple cameras and have them all sync together and stuff, so everything is matching out. It just, we really wanted to pile in the functionality of the camera to be able to use it in different ways while maintaining a very specific size and weight and power limit on the camera, because what this can do, if you look at this top handle here, that is removable. The side handle, side handle is adjustable as well as repositionable or just removable as well. So if you take those away, you look at this little box right here. That's 2.65 pounds. It weighs nothing. Right. It's tiny, and it's lightweight. It's low power, so we can use our little 7.2 volt batteries that are like on the DVX 200. It also has a 12 volt input, so that you could use a big battery with an adapter if you wanted. But by keeping it really small that way, think about using it on a drone, think of it on a gimbal rig, or even just in a car rig. I mean, when I shoot inside in cars, one of the things that I find is that I'm always hitting the roof inside in the car because you're trying to get to the eye level of the other person, so you just don't have enough space up there. Well, if I can take off everything off the top of the camera, I can squeeze right on up there, and then I'm right at eye level with my subject. So it really, we tried to add as much as possible, lots of different functionality in the camera while keeping it to a certain sort of physical envelope, so that you'll be able to have great usage of the camera. You want to have lots of features built in, but you don't want to make it a behemoth and then it's not going to be able to use it the way you would like to use it.
So what are we looking at as far as availability, do you think?
This will be shipping in the fall. We don't want to give an exact, we have some targets, but we don't want to give an exact date, because if we come in a week early or a week late, people will yell at us. Yeah, for sure. So we're saying the fall right now. Probably as we get closer, we'll be able to indicate a little more accurately. And the price point is going to be under $8,000.
And that's a lot of value for a camera of this magnitude. Now, let me ask you, the cards, does it take 2 cards or 1?
It has 2 slots for SDS XC cards. What class card, what speed you'll need is dependent on what codec you pick and what frame rate and resolution stuff. So the camera it'll warn you in some way or another that either it'll just lock you out or say, hey, you need a different one if you try to put a card that's not up to what you're asking it to do. It'll just let you know. But there are 2 card slots, and it'll be able to span between the cards so you can have long continuous record times. One of the ideas here is that the camera itself is small and light and affordable, and we wanted the workflow, the usage of the camera, to be small and light and affordable. And so by using the SD cards, well, I can readily purchase those anywhere, and I can also stick them into the side of most laptops. And if I don't have that ability to stick it right onto the laptop, an adapter's a few dollars, and it's available anywhere. I can get those for just a few dollars, quickly and easily. And so it makes it that, it's not just the cost of buying the camera, it's the cost of using a camera. And you have to really consider that if you have much more expensive sort of proprietary media or just high-end types of media that are just, dollars per gig. They can get very expensive very, very quickly. This is going to be a very affordable system to use.
One of the things with CFast is depending on the manufacturer of the particular cards, you have to have a particular reader to go with that card. Some readers want a particular reader won't read all CFast cards, is what I'm hearing from the forums.
Yeah, and again, when we're talking about using SDXC cards, what that gets you is commodity technology. Now, yes, there are going to be some older card readers that if you have newer cards that, maybe they don't quite work with that sort of thing. But
per manufacturer,
it's going to be something where, easily, readily that, this stuff is just sort of universal. You can stick I have SD cards, I can stick them into this laptop and stick it into this still camera and whatever, and they all just work fine. Mm-hmm. So, at a certain point, if you have something that's ancient, maybe that might not keep up. But otherwise, everything is all cross-compatible, and we like that in that we just want to sort of make this approachable and easy for all our clients.
And one thing we didn't talk about is the battery. What type of battery does it take?
It uses the same batteries as the DVX200. It actually has space in the back here, so it's sort of an open slot. And so what that allows is for the batteries, for the most part, except I think maybe our very largest, that might extend ever so slightly out the back, but otherwise they fit into the cavity, the size of the camera. Because you don't want to, if you have a battery come off too far in the back, then on certain like gimbal rigs, you won't be able to have a tilt range because it extends too far back and such. So we try to keep the scale of it, everything, really tight and small. But those batteries are, again, readily available, and they're very inexpensive.
Excellent, Mitch. So people want to find out more. They want to keep up to date with what's happening with the camera, the EVA1. What should they do?
They can go to our website, Panasonic Pro Solutions, and they can go to, they can probably just type in EVA1, and boy, you're going to find a lot of information really quickly. The full product name of the camera is the AU-EVA1, and so you'll be able to find information there. And go to the Panasonic website. There's plenty of information about it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mitch.
Thank you.
HDSLR Shooter, sponsored by Akitio, Adamus, Band Pro, Blackmagic Design, Carl Zeiss, and Xylite.